like to welcome Cyrus Fees of Vision Quest VR to the Johnson City Small Business Podcast. He's here to share a bit of his remarkable story about his business here in Johnson City, and maybe even we'll talk a little bit about his quest to become the public address announcer of the Chicago Cubs. So,
yeah, you never know.
So Cyrus, welcome in. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And I love what you're doing here. Love the podcast, and anything to help promote local small business owners is a big, huge thing in my opinion. So awesome.
That's great.
Happy to be here.
Well, I appreciate it. And, so I want to get some questions. We're going to talk about running a small business in Johnson City. And first, many folks who see you as the owner of Vision Quest VR may not know that you're a commentator and a ring announcer for MMA fights. So, Mr. International, I got to hear it. Why don't you introduce Leighton Hart of Market Street Media to the fans as if you were at fight night tonight?
Okay. All right. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing fighting out of the red corner, weighing in at approximately, I'm guessing, 165 pounds, standing 5'10". He is the owner and operator of Market Street Media, Leighton Hart. There it is.
The best. Love it.
I get that a lot. Wow. Oh, and we got, sound effects.
There it is.
Yes. Now that's big time.
That is awesome. Thanks, Leighton. Thanks, Cyrus. That was awesome. So take me back a bit to where it all began. I can imagine, were you kind of always the kid with the microphone in your hand, kind of getting in front of the video camera?
Yeah, I was. I didn't really find my real voice until I got into high school. Started doing drama and speech competitions, and figured out that I wanted to do that. But yeah, I've always been very outspoken. Usually class clownish, just trying to stick out, trying to do anything to get a laugh, to get somebody's attention. So a whole lot of that stuff. But yeah, it's high school's where it really got started though. And boom, before you know it, was off to the races.
Were you in high school in Iowa?
I was, yeah. So I was born in Iowa. Actually moved down to Tennessee in 93, 94. My dad went to Tusculum and graduated, and I came with him. And so I lived there for 2 years. Then we went back to Iowa, and that's where I went to high school, where I went to community college. And then when it was time to transfer, I came back because I liked the area and they were really good at recruiting me. So followed in my dad's footsteps.
What brought you to Tusculum? How are they recruiting you?
Oh, they were very attentive. It was between them and Temple University up in Philly. Don't know how I got to that, realization, but that's where it was. And there's times where I think, what would be different if I would have went to Temple. But I think subconsciously I like a smaller community. And I'm glad I made the decision I did because, things have gone very, very well. Met really good friends, got a pretty good education, met my wife, and, got kids. It's awesome. And I love living here, and I don't regret it a bit, to be honest with you. It's just such a nice area. So it's awesome.
So you came to Tusculum, did film and broadcasting
at
the university. What then took you to MMA? How did you get involved in that?
Well, I liked wrestling a lot. I grew up being a big wrestling. Well, amateur, not even amateur as much as pro. I was more of a WWF guy.
Yeah.
My dad led me to like amateur wrestling. I only wrestled for a year in high school, and it didn't go very well. It was intense, it's a very, very hard sport to be in.
Sure.
That being said, I loved pro wrestling. I looked up to, like the Howard Finkles and, the Jim Rosses and Vince McMahons and those commentators and those big voices. And I wanted to be in that space for a long time. So I started on that journey here in East Tennessee, working for some of the small little wrestling shows.
Yep.
And that led into MMA once MMA kind of got some popularity. And, I found that MMA pays a lot better than wrestling. And I have fallen in love with the sport, and I've been a part of, some really cool journeys and seeing a lot of fighters from the area, but just a lot of fighters realize their dreams. And I've been a part of that journey, which is cool as well. So, I love it. It's a really cool sport, and I've been able to be a part of the growth of it. So that's a cool thing.
And what I find especially intriguing, and I was actually talking to a friend of ours, Patrick Savage, about was the fact that you're not just coming to fights here in the Tri-Cities or in Charlotte. You're traveling worldwide.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing how it all came about. There was a succession of events. I had a TV show for about 3-4 years here in the area. And it was really just to promote the smaller events and to get that footage put onto film and put it onto TV. And we got sponsors and all that stuff. And before you know it, Casey Oxenine and I got it rolling to the point where we got a lot of footage from different countries. And that gave me those connections. So once, they had an opening for a ring announcer or a play-by-play commentator, they knew me well. We had promoted their shows well to a huge audience. We were in 50 million homes on a different television networks and stuff. And it all came from this little bitty rinky-dink, TV show. And it opened up so many doors, but it took a lot of hustle. Don't get me wrong. I had to hustle my butt off, but I've been able to go to 26, 27 countries now. And 6 continents. I'm only short Antarctica. We're working on it. We'll see what we can do. Rile up some penguins and get them fighting or something.
Right.
But yeah, so it's been amazing. Currently, I work for a show in the UAE called UAE Warriors. I'm wearing their mask right now. And then I work for one in South Africa called EFC, which has been great. I've been there like 45 times. And then I work for one called XFC here in the States now that's starting to pick up steam. So yeah, bouncing all over the place.
So for me growing up, it was Tyson, it was boxing, right?
Oh, I love those guys.
We didn't do, besides pro wrestling,
Mhm.
we didn't see a lot of MMA until
It was banned. It was banned everywhere. You go to the
Right.
video store and
That's
you'd see
it.
the tapes, banned in 25
Right.
states. Yeah, I didn't either. To be honest with you, I didn't pay any attention to it
Yep.
until the mid 2000s
Mhm.
when, professionally, I just wanted to keep working, is really what it came down to. And then I figured out how cool it is. It's a great sport, but yeah, I agree. I wasn't a huge fan in the beginning.
What are some of the misconceptions I think that folks think about MMA that you're like, you know what? Give it a shot because of this, or you know what? You'd be surprised. It's actually this.
Well, it's the whole brutality aspect. It is a brutal sport.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, but it is very controlled as well. It's not eye gouging and fight to the death stuff. It's it's a sport with a lot of rules and a lot of regulations and weight classes, and they put so many safeguards into it that like I said, you tap out, you're done. You know what I mean? If you get knocked out or appear to be knocked out, they just stop the fight. It's not like boxing where they'll give you 10 seconds to get up after you've already been concussed potentially,
Right.
and then keep fighting. I feel like, truthfully, and I still want to work in boxing, but I feel like MMA is safer in that respect because they stop the fight.
Yeah.
Kickboxing, boxing, they will continue to let you fight, even if you're a little groggy, probably been concussed.
Yeah.
You're fighting again. So it's that part of it's scary. I love boxing a lot, though. I love the characters of boxing.
Yes.
Those Tyson Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe. I loved all those guys.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fallen off a little bit. MMA tends to have more of the characters now.
Yep, I
which is
agree.
cool.
So how do you go from MMA, ring announcing, to now starting a business, Vision Quest?
It's just something I always wanted to do. I always wanted a brick and mortar business. I don't know why. It's just kind of always been in the back of my mind, to have my own place to go to that's mine, that, is my idea. And it's been so many different ideas. It's been, doing a barcade is something I wanted to do for a long time. And I was looking at spaces here in Johnson City. Then a couple of them popped up.
Yep.
Well, no, I take that back. No, they really didn't, because they never had a barcade. They had arcades.
Good point.
I wanted a barcade,
Yep.
which I've been to a number of those in different cities, and they're just such a cool atmosphere. You know what I mean? Because I think you and I are similar age, and folks that grew up with our real arcades, now to be able to drink beer at that and have fun
Right.
is really, really fun.
Right.
So I thought that that'd be a good thing, and who knows, it may present itself at some point. But I always wanted a brick and mortar. I tried VR and I loved it for the first time, like maybe 2.5 years ago. And I was like, this is just such a mind-blowing,
Right.
such a cool experience. It's so much more than putting a controller in your hand. Like, you're in the game. You find yourself getting immersed very, very easily. And I was like, okay. So I went to a few more and I was like, all right, this is possible. Ran it by my wife, bugged her about it for months, until finally I broke her down piece by piece. And she's like, fine, do it.
Do whatever you want to do.
Please just shut up about it and do it. I'm like, all right, cool. Can I do that every year? Like, every year I would do the same thing. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm starting a business. I don't know what it's going to be, something to do with kids or something to do with video games or just something I'm passionate about, that I can get behind, so it's been cool. It's been challenging, but it's been cool.
So you guys just had a ribbon cutting the other day?
Yeah. Third ribbon cutting. Third ribbon cutting in under 2 years.
Yeah, welcome.
Being a part of the chamber has a lot to do with that. They have been so cool with us. I remember when I joined the chamber, it was on a whim, and I was like, I think I want to be a part of this. And immediately they're like, okay, if you ever want to do ribbon cutting, let us know.
Right.
And I'm like, when we open, in 2 weeks, all right, we'll be there. And they had such great support for the company, and
Sure.
they don't have to. I mean, I wouldn't think they would have to, especially in a situation where we were in the mall, we ribbon cutted, then 6 months later we did another one.
Right.
But they brought the same energy. They brought, just as many people out. And we had folks from the city commission, and we had just all these great people. And I was like, okay, you got to take advantage of, what you have in your arsenal there. And the chamber has really come to bat for me. So it's been really cool. But yeah.
So what is it about VR that you were like, oh man, this is for folks that haven't really experienced it? What are they going to experience when they come to Vision Quest and experience VR for the first time?
Well, so it's just one of those things it's like you have to put the headset on. It's like I can tell you, but it's a totally different feeling. I think it's a physical thing. I mean, your brain reacting to what's in front of you. I mean, it's on all sides of you. You have to take the headset off to kind of put yourself back in reality. But, we see people that get so immersed to the point that, they forget they have to go to the bathroom, or they, or they get, so tore up by it. It's like, no, just take the headset off,
Right.
but they get so immersed. It's everything you could think of, and it's not just games, and it's not just shooting. It's, exploring the world. And I get stuck in Google Earth for hours. Cause I'll go to like a house I grew up in, and I'll walk the street, and you just teleport around, and you're right there in front of that house, or, whatever place you'd want to go to Antarctica. I always talked about Antarctica. You can literally, there's all kinds of places in Antarctica, these different like science facilities, and you can go inside of those facilities and look around. And it's just
mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling. I love it. So I try to just let everybody know that, it's not just shooting. It's not what you think it might be.
Yeah.
There's so many different facets to it. There's training courses, and there's police courses and fire courses, and just, you can do anything. It's
Right.
such a neat technology that's really kind of found its footing, got over the hump. It's become more refined. It's become more accessible, which is cool as well. So yeah, we're just embracing every bit of it, and every piece of technology that comes out, we try to jump on it and offer it at Vision Quest if it's doable, and just let everybody experience it. I think it's cool to have it in the community. I mean, how many communities have a VR establishment,
Exactly. What from a young parent's perspective, bringing our kids over there, what would be the draw? Like, what's the value proposition for me to say, hey, I'm going to bring my kid over there, and because I want him to play on this game, to sit in the booth?
Well, it's there's a few things. In our current environment, it's a safe activity. That's one thing that we had no problem transitioning into, because we already wiped down our headsets and sanitized our headsets every time. And we're already distanced. Even when we were in our first location that was about 1,400 square feet, we were still 6-7 feet away, buddy, but you're in the same game. So you and I may be 10 from each other, but we're walking around shooting zombies together, talking to each other, seeing each other.
Right.
But you're not on somebody, which is great. So that part is cool, because you feel like there's not a whole lot of activities out there, if you're really concerned about the virus, that you can take the kids to go do, so where they can interact with other kids and that sort of thing. So that base is covered. These kids are raised with games. I mean, my son, my daughter, and my son have been playing since they were 2 years old or less. I mean, they're so addicted to their tablets and to their consoles, and this gives you an opportunity to play a game, but be active. A lot of kids that aren't active, you have to stand up, you have to move around, and there's sports games, there's everything you could think of. So I think that's a good thing too, just to get them up and moving, you know what I mean, and trying something different. And I think the third thing is you can get in as a parent with your kid in play so much easier than you can holding a controller
Right.
about a game that you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand Fortnite
Nope, me neither.
at all.
Right.
I don't get it. Well, I get it. Yeah, all the building and stuff. I'm like, I mean, I'm cool to do the shooting part, but all this building,
Yeah.
and they're just throwing up walls and
Yep.
going up steps, and I'm like, oh, no, I'm good. You know, I don't want to get, you know, housed by a 10-year-old
Right.
today. I'm good. So, and they'll talk you out, talk you down too
Sure.
over the headset. So, with this, you know, you can get in there. I can have you lined up to go shoot zombies with your kids, and you guys are basically on the same playing field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you actually have to raise your hand, you got to shoot those zombies, or you got to, you know, whatever it might be. And I feel like that's a great thing too, just to do something with your kids,
That's
something you
great.
can experience together.
Yeah.
And those are the best things that I love to watch as an owner. I sit back and watch these, you know, kids play with their parents, and it's the best, or with their grandparents.
Yeah.
You know, it's so cool. So I think those are 3 really good reasons why you can come out. It's safe, you know, get your kids off the couch, get them without a controller in their hand, and then play with them. You know, I mean, those are 3 big deals, I think.
Creating memories.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
great.
We have a lot of return customers, people that just keep coming back and keep coming back, you know, so.
Along those lines, I think I also saw where you guys had a corporate event where a corporation came in and did some team building and things like that.
Yes.
Are you starting to see some of that going on as
It's
well?
starting to come up again. Yeah. You know, it went away obviously with
Yep.
COVID. Nobody was doing activities,
Right.
and same with schools, et cetera. So within a 7-day span, we had the entire ETSU men's soccer team out, which, you know, 30 people. And thankfully, our space is about 5,000 square feet now.
Yeah.
So it's so much more spread out. So I can put that many people in there and still feel good about it.
Yep.
But with their situation, we just pretty much, you know, shut it off to the public. You know, we had some people kind of walk in and it's like, hey, sorry, these guys have it until 3 o'clock. And it really wasn't hard at all, but they had a really good time. They could move around. But then we had Green Meadow Property Services. They brought all of their maids and, you know, techs and stuff like that. And they came out, had a blast. We've had a great relationship with them. And it's just a way for them to blow off steam,
Yep.
you know, and just go have fun and not worry about cleaning somebody's house or their building that day, you know.
Right.
So we're starting to see that pick up. We have a lot of activities that work well for team building, specifically made for team building, whether it's teaming up, you know, to do a task, you know, to fight a boss or to fight a zombie. But then we have somewhere, you know, one person will put a headset on and they're defusing a bomb, and the rest of the team is describing what they need to do with a manual, how to defuse that bomb. So some really high pressure situations.
Right.
So we have a lot of options. But you know, I think just renting out our place and letting people go wild is fun too,
Right.
and not worrying about, you know, being around other people. It's all you. So, and the mall's right there. You go to the food court afterwards,
Right.
get some food, you know.
Yep.
There's a lot of convenience about where we're at now. It's pretty cool.
That's a good point. So what's your vision for Vision Quest?
Pun intended.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think what we have, our framework, the way it's laid out, our how we get our streams of income all working together. I think that it's very viable as a franchise. I'm talking to a few people about franchising it out, at least starting a second location, making sure that, you know, what we're doing can do work in another spot.
Yeah.
And then from there, you know, laying out a guidebook and laying out a way for somebody to get in for a reasonably low price as far as a franchise goes, you know, under $100,000 to get in, open up your own, and, you know, get your return on investment within a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
You know, and we're learning as we go, but working with the schools and making these relationships and using our space not at peak times, but still making money on our space. So having, you know, a team building thing when the mall's dead and you're not getting any walk up, and when it's a Tuesday at 2 o'clock when nobody's in the mall, you're still making money on your space. So we're trying to really hit hard on that, because Saturdays and Sundays and Fridays are always going to be solid for us. we don't have to worry about that anymore. That's going to happen.
Right.
We just want to make sure we're maximizing our space as much as possible. So I think we can get some franchise going. I really, really do. So that's where I want to see it go.
How do you engage the clientele? How do you engage your employees? How do you engage talent in your world in the business?
I'm coming up on 40, but I feel like I still kind of, me personally, I still kind of have that mentality that I can relate to these kids coming up. Everybody that works at our place, 24 and under, many of them, 19, 20. But I can, I have a good relationship with them. I try to be around as much as possible to provide support, but really, honestly, they run the show 100%. I pop in, once a day usually, or I'll check in on the cameras if I'm out of town, but I don't have to be there a lot for them to understand. Like, they are very accountable. And I think you just, forge a good relationship with them, take care of them. We do a lot of team building things ourselves where, we'll take them out. We did the Rage Room in Bristol for our holiday party. We'll do escape rooms and just anything to kind of create that good relationship. When we built out our new place, we had our employees doing a lot of the work. So from painting to, tearing down walls to putting up all the posters to do it, hanging TVs, we were having them involved in all that. And my thought process was, in fact, I had an employee that kind of bit back to me on that. I guess when I wasn't there, I found out things you deal with as an employer, but he's like, why didn't Cyrus just hire professionals? They would have had it done quicker, but he goes, I think he's trying to be cheap. And I was like, well, not so much.
Yeah.
In fact, I paid more money. Yeah. I paid out more to have them do it, and they did work long hours. That being said, the camaraderie, building something that you have, an investment into.
Yeah.
And I feel like now that we have that, and we had it with the first location in the mall too, we did the same thing. I feel like they really appreciate it, and they're not going to, let it get real dirty or let somebody, what I mean? Like they feel like they're a part of it.
They're a stakeholder in that
yeah,
build out.
Exactly. So we've had, the majority of our workforce has been with us since the beginning, and they could get better jobs, but they appreciate being with us, and just let them know all the time that you appreciate them and take care of them. As far as the customers go, I try to, the one thing I do enjoy, I don't enjoy putting people in headsets, the normal work that the associates do.
Right.
I don't want to do that. I did that when I was, 19 or 17 years old until I was like 24. I don't want to do that no more. But I do like interacting with the parents. I do like getting to know the kids, talking to them, telling them about our activities, and just getting to know people. That part I absolutely love, being an owner and being able to tell somebody, hey, go put them in the headset, do the thing I don't want to do. I'm going to stand over here and talk and create a relationship.
Yeah.
And it's gone a really long way for us to get that repeat business, to get parties, to get, cooperation with other businesses and schools. And that's where I feel like I'm at my best, is when I'm interacting like we're doing right now,
right.
and building a relationship, and which always comes back, it always comes back in the form of business, so it's a good thing.
Yeah. How has VR shifted any? Is there anything trending in virtual reality now?
100%.
Obviously with technology.
Well, there's a lot of at home now. So when we started, there was this hardcore computer, like PC gaming, VR community, whereas you need to have a $1,500 PC, $1,000 VR setup, just to make everything work, and then you start buying the games, and you got to have space in your house too, right? Well, now, Oculus has come out with some headsets that are much more approachable, under $300. You can get in, you can play a lot of the games that we offer. They're not going to be as graphically as good because you're not connected to a computer, but, it's accessible. So, in our first year of business in 2019, Oculus put out their Quest headset, which is more mobile, it's wireless. You don't have to have a computer connected to it. And I like to believe that we made Oculus a lot of money that year, because I noticed that we had less customers. towards the beginning of the year, and that's
Mhm.
because they all got it for Christmas.
Yep.
But we offer a lot of experiences that you can't get at home.
Right.
So the escape rooms and our free roam activities that we offer now, and then the rides and a lot of software that we have on our stations that you cannot get as a consumer. So we have a lot of things that we offer, so they do come back.
Yeah.
I was a little worried about it initially. I was like, oh man, I just got into this business and now there's this at home.
Sure.
We're kind of screwed. Kind of like when Nintendo came about,
Yep.
and some of those, and then the arcades died down. I'm like, all
Right.
right, this is gonna be a problem. Thankfully, there's a lot of people looking outside the box and offering these group activities, which
Mhm.
is really where my business is at, is group activities and offering that, and we're getting in on that and staying on it. So you just have to adapt.
Yep.
And that's all we've done is rolled with the punches, brought out new activities, things that you can't get at home, and it seems to be working out well for us. But being at the mall has been probably the biggest key. Is just having traffic, letting people walk by our very windowed
Mhm.
space and see other people having fun, and that helps
Little
a
FOMO
lot.
right there. Them being like, "Oh, I want to get in on that."
Oh yeah, you see so many kids, and you see the mom and the dad like drag them by the arm. No, 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 no. And I'm like, oh, just let them play. Come on, it's not that bad. It starts at $10. You can do it.
That's great. Well, Cyrus, that about wraps up our time here
Sure.
together on the Johnson City Small Business Podcast. I'd like to thank you for investing your time with us today.
Absolutely.
Where can people go to find you? Obviously in the mall. Where in the mall are you?
So we're in the lower level. So we are right across from Dick's Sporting Goods. We're next to Rack Room Shoes. I call it kind of the kids wing of the
Mhm.
mall because
Yep.
you got GameStop, Spotty Da, which is the little girl spa right across from us. Then us, Build-A-Bear,
Mhm.
little soft play area if they ever
Yep.
open it up again.
That's right.
So we kind of have this whole wing of kids stuff. So it's really working out now. So lower level mall at Johnson City is the best place to find us. We're online, everything at Vision Quest VR, and we try to get up as much social as we can
Love
and
it.
keep people engaged.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask about as well. So, and I'd also like to thank the listener as well for dropping into the show today. Please subscribe to the podcast, and also make sure to check out Doing Good with local celebrity WJHL anchor Josh Smith and Dr. Becky Powers. She's a pediatrician in Elizabethton, and so that's a great podcast to subscribe to and listen to as well. So, special thanks to Market Street Media and our sound engineer, Leighton Hart, who's responsible for romancing your ears. This is the Johnson City Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan McKinney, and until next time, keep living your life by design. So Cyrus, you wanna close us out with an out cue?
Oh wow. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I'll try to give you something here. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Johnson City Small Business Podcast. I'm Cyrus Fees. I'm just the guest. It's all about this man, Ryan McKinney. Thank you so much, folks. And remember to keep living your life by design. We'll see you next time here on the Johnson City Small